What's going on, people? This is another great episode of the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to mind. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy Dee.
I'm Tracey.
And we review culture in movies, music, politics, and society. And do we have a great one for you headed into the next day tonight. We just finished watching Surviving R. Kelly. Did you see this? Did you see this on Lifetime tonight? Surviving R. Kelly. All right. What can be said about Surviving R. Kelly? Okay, so let's give a synopsis here. It opens up and they give you a hook. First of all, let's break down the way it's structured as a documentary. As a documentary, A1 as far as how they structured it, how they laid out the opening sequence after the hook. The hook was showing you the different women sitting in front of a green screen, kind of like what we're doing before they put the black background and did the Hollywood magic like we talked about on the last film review. Right? So they set you up with the hook, and then they have one girl talking, and then she cries, she gets up, she walks off, and then they open up the opening sequence, and the opening sequence is through R. Kelly's sunglasses, and you see this montage go through his sunglasses. Excellent, beautifully edited, a lot of money put into editing this piece to talk about R. Kelly. Very interesting. I have to give it A1 on that. It's well edited. Sound quality is right. I just have one question. Who loaned all his music to this documentary? Like, his music actually plays in the documentary. It's not, like how you watch documentaries and you know that they weren't able to have permission to use the music. Like, who did that? Because we know that he lost a lot of his royalties because he signed a lot of his royalties. That came out a few months ago, so that's why he's been out touring. All right. So, who gave permission? Did Jive Publishing? Jive is folded, but Zamba Publishing or Zombie Publishing? Did they allow this out, or did someone who purchased it was planning on using it? Because using it, that's mechanical publishing rights, and then someone is getting paid off of his music being played in this documentary. Right?
Well, you know what? Well, for me, this documentary, well, we heard these things before, and we all know about R. Kelly's the court case, right? But to actually see, the different women who, interacted with R. Kelly or who had relations with R. Kelly, and, to hear their side of it was really shocking.
Gut-wrenching, maybe?
Yeah, and like gut-wrenching. And it's just, what can you say? It's just crazy. It's just, it's just like friends and family members, and being like a female and stuff is just kind of like you.
Go ahead.
It's kind of like, if you think about like your grandmothers and mothers and aunts, and they'd be like, I don't give a damn who he is, you're not going off with him. So it's just like you watching the documentary, and it's just like you're like, well, how are they able to get away with this, and who allowed their daughters to go off with this grown man? And so what if it's R. Kelly? So it's kind of shocking, especially you listen to all these different people who knew all of this was happening, and like nobody did anything, nobody cared, because it was just it's funny because we're supposed to be such a religious people who worship only one being, which is God. But all of these people within his, just all of everybody, it's like a worship of R. Kelly, from the employees to people from the label to the women and the women's friends and parents and cousins, and it's like this
grandparents.
Right? It's like this man was being worshipped. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know.
We're gonna go ahead, keep going. We're gonna unpack this.
I mean, it's just like someone has to be held like accountable. Like, of course, R. Kelly. But what about the people who allowed this? Who allowed their children and grandchildren and nieces and nephews? I'm saying nephews.
Boy, hey, in certain cases, in other cases,
yeah.
maybe they would have let their nephews go, right?
Nieces and daughters and granddaughters, or like, people have to be held accountable. I mean, that's not good enough. Oh, it's R. Kelly. Oh, okay, go ahead on. It's R. Kelly. You know, the one situation where the young lady, her grandmother, saw that it was R. Kelly, and, you know, he, you know, said how much he cared about her and this and that and respect her. And the grandmother, oh, okay, R. Kelly, Robert's here. I mean, like, no.
Like, really?
My grandmother been like, who the hell are you? Hell no. I mean, so that right there is just kind of just like around the, just, you know, and growing up, I don't know. It's just, you know, I watched the documentary and I'm disappointed in R. Kelly, and I'm disappointed in the way the situations were handled. Like, not only was R. Kelly wrong, but the people who were supposed to protect these girls, they should be held accountable too.
I'm trying to figure out the title of the program, Surviving R. Kelly. Surviving, like, it was as if he was an axe murderer or something, or a murderer or something, like Surviving R. Kelly. I have to get the definition of surviving, because it was like as if he was choking women out, or he was a serial killer or some sort, or like that. So let's unpack this for a minute.
I really felt for his wife.
Yeah. We're gonna get to that. You know, the only two people in the whole film that I really believed was his wife, Andrea, that's her name, and Sparkle. I believe those two.
Well, now, you know what? I believe all the other girls too, but I just feel that.
Well, I actually go ahead.
I believe all the other women too, and at the time it were girls, but I believe them also. But with them, I'm saying somebody should be held accountable, like the parents, the grandparents. Like, it's crazy. Like, who allows their child to be in a relationship with an older man? It doesn't matter if it's R. Kelly or if it's Joe Blow down the street. We're working at McDonald's or the post office. So it's just like in that situation, I feel like for those girls, somebody in their family, somebody should be held accountable too. Nobody's innocent in that as far as the family members, because they knew what was going on. The Hollywood Reporter had this today. They had done a little synopsis, and they were giving some of the blow by blow of what was happening on the documentary. And then there was another article where R. Kelly's lawyer has said that they're going to, well, he filed an injunction earlier today because they said that Lifetime knew, now this is what the lawyer says, Lifetime knew that some of the young ladies in there were not telling the truth. By what the lawyer said, they were lying, but they had put so much money behind it that they had to go with it, because a certain
aspects of the stories to seem like, it just seemed like to me like it's coached.
Well,
Like,
you know what?
like,
R. Kelly shouldn't have put himself in that situation.
Let me finish the point. Let me finish the point. He is dead wrong. However, the situation, it just seemed like they were coached in what they were saying, like, and it seemed like each one repeated the same thing. But the main person that, the two people that I definitely believe in the whole piece is Sparkle and Andrea Kelly. I believe those two. But I have a question, because I was in retail at the time when the whole Vibe article came out talking about the blow by blow of the first sex. You can say that was the original first sex tape out there, really, right? And my question is, they had him up on distribution of pornography. That was the original charge. They didn't go into any of that in the documentary. Matter of fact, they're replaying the documentary right now. They went into nothing about. They didn't touch anything about that, except for they're gonna show on the next one that the tape was leaked. Right. This is my question. He was found not guilty of distribution of pornography because he wasn't filming it to distribute it. He was filming it to go look back at it later. Whatever his sick kick was, that's what he was doing, right? But the people who were out there on the streets, now they alluded to this a little bit. The people out there on the streets, John Legend even mentioned it, that this was distributing as if it was an official video. People were bootlegging it and selling it, and I remember clear as day people coming in and asking me if I had it, and I said, the girl is underage, right? And they say, yeah. I say, that's child pornography. Right. Let me take a break and say, Nikki Rich, you are one of the strongest women out there. You are our own representative, number one, but you're fighting your battle and you're out there and you're chronicling it, and we want to salute you for that, because you go through and you be out there on the red carpet and you do your thing under the situations, and that is strength personified, and we want to give you salute for that.
She said she watched the video too.
Okay, so this is my point. Sorry, Nick. We're gonna have to go there for a minute. Now, people came in when I was in retail asking for the tape. I said, well, isn't the girl young? Isn't that child pornography? So he didn't go to jail for distribution of child pornography, but there were a lot of people that should have went to prison for distribution of child pornography because they were watching him piss on a little girl. Because the Vibe gave the blow by blow of it. You didn't even have to watch. It was just like how on here they were giving the blow by blow, and then we were listening to Kaya earlier on her podcast, and she was reading. One of the young ladies wrote a book, right? And she was giving blow by blow. This was I can't believe everything that she was writing, because it sounded like it was erotica. I guess you got to make your money somehow. You know, it seemed like it was erotica the way it was playing out and what he did and all that. So the first thing is, how many people are culpable for releasing and destroying a young lady's life that should have been at her age? At the time when the video came out, she was when the video was shot, was 14, but when it was released to the public, she was 17. She was supposed to be going through debutante balls and all that, and she wanted to be an MC. Come to find out, that was the connection. I just thought Sparkle brought her niece, because when Vibe was covering it, right? I thought that the niece was just a fan, but kind of find out she was an artist, wanted to be an artist. Why would you release this tape where, you can see this person and you're destroying her whole life? She can never live that down. She's supposed to be a debutante, going through debutante training and going on, possibly becoming a in a sorority, aka Delta, Zeta. There's something going on to college and expanding her life and still having this rap career, right?
Right.
This.
Yeah, Sparkle was wrong.
Yeah. She was wrong. So.
Because I couldn't imagine leaving my niece in that situation, you know. And then first of all, Sparkle stated that she saw how R. Kelly treated his wife when she was banging on the door or you know
knocking on the wall
because
and he said what?
Right.
And she came
for food. So if you saw this is how this man treated his wife, why would you even bring your niece to meet this man?
Okay. So that's culpability number one. Now, I believe that the Enough and Me Too movements are pushing for there to lift the statute of limitation. She brought her niece to, you know, she knew
what was
exactly what he was doing.
Which
right.
Makes no sense. So that's why I'm
no, we're gonna break down. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I'm like, R. Kelly was definitely wrong, but these other girls, it's like their family members kind of just threw them to the wolves just because he was R. Kelly.
Can you go? I mean, as soon as the parent gets the one girl, right. She was having a secret relationship with him. Right. As soon as she came over to the grandmother's house, right. He came over to the grandmother's house. He said, "Hey, R. Kelly's here. Go ahead, take him with you." Right?
Right.
Now remember, the grandmother had just said.
He said Sparkle wanted to make music with R. Kelly and made sure she continued and brought her niece. Yeah.
Right. So this is this is what's happening. She prostrated her niece. But you know, my opinion. Now listen. Her grandmother had told her before that she had the body that the men were going to like, right? So we got to go back and look at the history of Chicago. Chicago was a slave port. Slaves were in there, came in there. The French brought slaves in first. So this all has to go back to studs and stalls and young women and studs going in and jumping from stall to stall to stall to impregnate to bring about more slaves, because at one point in the history of slavery they ended importing slaves, so they had to find a way to breed. And so this whole psychology of age ain't nothing but a number and all that comes from the slave breeding, and Chicago was a big slave port. That's one thing. So we have to, this doesn't give R. Kelly a reason to be exonerated or anything for whatever he did. He's already been exonerated once, right? Because they said that he wasn't distributing pornography, right? So this doesn't give him an excuse, right? But I'm just setting up the psychology of what's going on. And everybody knows once we left off of the plantations, we didn't have time to go get psychological help. We were busy trying to walk and go and put our families back together. So that's one thing. So Chicago is a slave port. Two, from off of that, as centuries passed, then you start to look at how the pimping game was in Chicago. Direct correlation to what was happening from slavery and then going forth and forward, right? So these are two things that we have to see there. So we're gonna put a pin. We're gonna pin that right there, right? And we're gonna go on now. This is what I'm saying about culpability. So first of all those people who were distributing those videos, they are child pornographers, and they should really be put in. And those who sat there and openly watched the tape, do they have any feeling about it? You know, and then on top of that, they were talking about the young girl, and they were showing her music video, but they were blurring out her face. Anybody can just go search that, grab that, connect images, and find out who the person is that's there. So they really are just exploiting this situation still. And I think my opinion, Sparkle is still exploiting the situation because I wouldn't talk, because Aaliyah's uncle didn't talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know if maybe he's not alive anymore, but
he passed away.
Oh, he passed away. Okay,
yeah.
But no
but
one.
Even when he was alive,
he wasn't talking about it, right? Okay, now, so I put down some bullet points here. So let's look at this. So the Lisa Van Allen woman. Now, if I'm real, I put a bullet point there, so I'm going to come back to it. The Enough and the Me Too movement are trying to lift the statute of limitations and make it so that people can be prosecuted past the statute of limitations. Because right now, people are doing civil suits. Right. You can civil sue somebody, right? Yeah. So they're trying to do that. So this is my point in this.
She said they didn't really talk about Aaliyah. It's everyone knew because we remember the time.
Yeah, we remember the time.
Yeah.
Lisa Van Allen talks about how she went there. She was 17. So 17 in most states, 16 is the age. And in some states, if the parent gives permission, you can marry the person at 12. You know, hey, I don't know why that is. But hey, you know, we know why that is. It goes back to what it was. It goes back to the Wild West, and it goes back to the slavery times. Now, Lisa Van Allen says that she was 17. She told her mother she was going. Her mother said she knew she couldn't stop her. So her mother gave a blessing. Her mother knew what was going on. Okay? She says that she was on the video shoot at 17. She was 17. You know, release forms have to be signed. Don't you have to at least be 18 years old? She's at the video shoot. She goes back to the tour bus. Next thing you know, she's out her clothes and she's just in a white t-shirt. And then she didn't describe what color it was, but she was in a t-shirt, and he comes back and forth talking about that, and then she did some sexual acts with him, and boom, boom, boom. So she goes to Chicago after she tells her mother lets her go, right? Right.
Yeah, these people, they're sick.
She lets the people go, right? So next thing you know, she says that he says he's trying something new with Menage a Trois, and he's got he's got a 16-year-old. Now she knows the girl is 16. Okay, 16. But then she finds out later that she thought the girl was 16, but actually was 15. But then later she says that she actually had a menage with Sparkle's niece and her. And the niece was 14. Now wait a minute. And the other girl was 15. Now wait a minute. Now if the statute of limitation is lifted and the statute of limitation is lifted, you, Miss Lady Lisa Van Allen, have just admitted to having sex with 2 minors. You, in my opinion, are as culpable as R. Kelly because you knew and you did not walk away. You will be considered a minor because you were 17, but again, in most cities, 16 is the cutoff date for consent age, right? So you might not be old enough to vote or old enough to drink, 21, but you are old enough to consent by rules of different cities, right? But you were with a 15-year-old and a 14-year-old, and you had sex with him, and you're sitting up there on this documentary admitting that you did it, and you try to say that he pushed you to it, but you knew and you did not walk away right then when you found out how old they was. I'm out of here. Right. You're telling this story, which makes you culpable, which means that if the statute of limitation is lifted, you're going to be charged too. Not to mention that you're opening yourself up to lawsuits anyway because, the people who are involved don't want their name dragged anymore like it was already dragged. Like Sparkle's niece doesn't want to be dragged anymore. Is that right? Yeah. She don't want to be dragged any more than what she was already dragged. Now, other guy, that, you know, these are just bullet points that I wrote down as I was going along. The Demetrius Smith, his manager and assistant, he says that he asked R. Kelly, was he doing anything with Aaliyah? Because at the time when Aaliyah started, he was 12, and they were hanging out strong. That was 3 years of hanging out strong. And then he goes and gets the paperwork. He forges. He says he forges, gets the documents forged. It's a legal document.
Now that's illegal.
That is illegal. He is sitting up here on this documentary, going not only in the United States but globally, and said that he got it done, that he did it, and he's
falsified documentation.
That I don't think there's any statute of limitation on that. I think they can get you for that at any time. And you're sitting up here saying this on this documentary. Did you sign immunity? Did any of these people sign any immunity? This is the behind the scenes, because if not, brother, they are going to be coming to get you. Because I don't think there's any statute on legal documents. No, because they ask you all the time, is what you're saying true indeed? And when you signed and said this is true indeed, and you witnessed or whatnot, you are culpable. And you're sitting up here telling this story, and it would appear to me that some of these people are disgruntled. Now, it was the producer dude that had a studio. He said R. Kelly came in there, and he said he walks into the place and he sees the young kids, right? He sees the young girls. He said most of them look like babies. He said, well,
I mean, if they look like babies, well, clearly, they were babies at the time.
You know, if this is all true, how come you didn't report it? That makes you culpable, because you sat there. That makes you an accessory, because you sat there and didn't say anything. But you're on this documentary talking freely. That's great. That is crazy. I'm just breaking down. You know, we know that, you know, the situation what R. Kelly was doing is dead wrong. It's dead wrong. A young girl should have a chance to breathe and live without being pursued by 20-year-old men, 30-year-old men, 40-year-old, 50-year-old men. Now, people often talk about the good old days, right? And they talk about, all this is just off the chain. The hip hop today, they're talking about drugs, but they talked about drugs in the records back in the past, all the way back in the 30s. Ella Fitzgerald talking about the weed, man, and the cocaine, man. But anyway, that's so you can see all that on YouTube, right? They talk about the good old days. They talk about, it was love songs in the 70s, love songs in the 70s. Remember that dramatic song, You're a Big Girl Now, No More Daddy's Little Girl? What are they saying in that? You know, we always say that, no more pigtails in your hair, no more silly looks with a childish stare, no more dolls for you to play, no more dumbness in the things you say.
Lyrics.
No more dumbness in the things you say, because you're a big girl now, no more daddy's little girl. First of all, that is a diss. So if people were worried about being called B's and H's and records, well, you know, that's one of the biggest diss. And the Dramatics are considered one of the great groups of doing love songs. But here we go. Now, so when they say no more pigtails, we got to break the lyrics down. No more pigtails in your hair. When do little girls stop having pigtails in their hair? You know, some start earlier than, you know, later, but it's usually around 13, 14, right? It changes from wearing pigtails to getting the hair straightened with the straightening comb. And so here's a dramatic song that's talking about you're a big girl now, no more daddy's little girl, no more pigtails in your hair, no more childish look with a stop, no silly looks with a childish stare, right? Then say, no more dolls for you to play, no more dumbness in the things you say. So they are kicking it to you right there automatically.
And that was the dramatics. That's why I liked in the documentary when they mentioned like Elvis
and Jerry Lee Lewis. Right.
Right. You know, so this has been going on like for years and years and years.
This is a sickness that does not come from African or black people without being forced upon it. And you have to go back and figure out where it's coming from. But no excuses to R. Kelly because of that fact. Okay? So the second verse of the dramatics, after they go through the chorus, they say, you can look girl if you must, you can kiss girl if you must, but you realize day by day the realness in your way. Now when you break those lyrics down, you say you can look girl if you must, you can hug girl if you must, you can kiss girl if you must, but you realize day by day the realness is in your way. That is talking about the sexual act. And we're talking about girls that just came from out of pigtails. So they're running it right there. It's no more else.
Dramatics,
this is dramatics. So you're a big girl now. No more daddy's little girl. Now, if you're listening to it and you're not aware of what's going on, you're just thinking that they're talking about a fully grown woman turned 21. Right. You know what I mean? But this is not what those lyrics are saying. So when they talk about the good old days, I have to say, man, there was a lot of good love songs, but, and you know, you're a big girl now, no more daddy's little girl is a pimp record. In my opinion, just my opinion on it, just breaking down the lyrics. Now, let's see what else we saw in there. Now let's go back. Now, they could have spent one more segment on R. Kelly and his brothers being molested.
Now that was really sad.
Right?
And that helped to explain a lot, you know, as far as what was going on with R. Kelly. Like,
now I don't know where I think I was reading on the Hollywood Reporter, but I don't know where they correlated and put it, being that it was his sister. I didn't. They never said that on the documentary, so you know I have to wipe that all the way out. But it was someone in the family that did this molestation to them, and they automatically switched to. They came back. They gave no sympathy to him. It's like this: if a person was molested, they are as much a victim as those who they molested. See what I'm saying? So while they're pushing him, surviving R. Kelly, R. Kelly survived his family member continuously from when he was what, 7
but
to 13.
While he is a victim, he turned around and victimized others.
A victimizer,
because there are people who have been molested, and they don't molest. They didn't molest other people. We don't actually know that to necessarily be true. Well, yeah. I mean, just branch on to the point. There are men who were molested by men, right, family members, who then grow up, and then some choose to live a heterosexual life, and others can't figure it out, and they live a homosexual life, right? And they seem to pick on younger people to find what I would call victims. They're victimized, they become victimizers, and they make victims of others. And the same thing with heterosexuals, right, like R. Kelly. He was victimized by a woman, right, but by what they were saying. Right. And then thus and so, he then becomes a victimizer and then makes victims of others, right? But it's just like... But it's like R. Kelly chose, because after that court case, I mean, he could have gone to get help. He could have seeked out help. It's not like he couldn't afford professional help. You know, he could have sat down with a psychiatrist.
You know, most of the
he
people... He
chose not to.
Most of the people who sit down with professional help is because there are people saying you need help.
Well, then they told him, like during the whole court case situation, R. Kelly, like they said, from what they said in the documentary and from what the young lady wrote in the book, he has this God type, this complex, and no one can tell him anything, and he's just...
Because he's had yes men and yes women around him, right?
But we were all given free will by God, and he chose the route that R. Kelly has chosen to take. It was of his choice. So I mean, he chose to be a predator. He chose to do what he did.
I look at it though.
I mean, it's sad what happened to him, but
I remember the women in my family calling women who went out there and the young girls who went around older men and had relations with them, and they called them fast. Oh, look at that girl, she's fast out there. There has to be culpability to... No one's innocent in this.
Right, yeah, that's what we said earlier.
No, but what I'm saying is no one's innocent. Like, how can, you know, okay, they're labeling this predator, right? But aren't the young girls also predatory?
Well, the one girl who wrote the book, she said that she was a predator.
Mission accomplished.
And she said mission accomplished once she hooked up with R. Kelly, because she set out to
get with him and told her girlfriend, mission accomplished. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're sitting up here on this documentary and they're saying that, oh, I was so starstruck. But everyone knows just in life the type of women, just my opinion, just by living life, saying type of women who will push up on a man and be forward with a man and go off and go with a man. They were always considered fast, you know.
Well, the woman who Kaya read like different a few chapters from out of this young lady's book, and so there are multiple books, but this one particular young lady, she stated multiple times in her book, she said, what did she say? I am not a victim. She said, I chose of my own free will. And she talks about how, you know, in this chapter, how she was on a mission to go after R. Kelly and tickets to the concert, place herself up front, you know, just like, you know.
What she said, no one was looking better than us.
Right, yeah, but in her situation, you know, she said, I'm not a victim, and I went after R. Kelly because I thought he could do something for me, and in the process, she said she fell in love with him or whatever. That's her case, right? And then, you know, then you find out that she told him she was 21, and then she said that she broke down crying, you know, later in a relationship and admitted to him that she was only 16. And she just kept saying that she wasn't a victim because she went into it eyes wide open or whatever. But I mean, well, her grandmother knew. And see, and then that's what I'm saying, like, what about the people around them, the grandparents, the parents? This girl, her cousin helped her, you know, hook up with R. Kelly. So, I mean, it's crazy, it's sad, it's just...
Okay. Now, the Javante Cunningham woman, she was a dancer. There were two of R. Kelly original dancers. She was one of them. He, from what she says, he never did anything with them, but he would always have them basically go out and recruit and bring. This is what she's saying. I'm putting it in different words. Go out and recruit and bring different women into the fold. Like different young girls, not women. Young girls into the fold. And it was like, I'm so foolish and all that. Okay. So they say they're on a tour bus and they were in the slats where you sleep and the curtains were back. And the tour bus back door where his bed was opens up and he's having sexual relations with Aaliyah.
Right.
And they said it pretty much just broke everything up. How come nobody went to to the authorities again.
Because they were on the payroll.
No, they was on the payroll, but it ended everything, and they pretty much broke up the family unit, they said, and it was over, right? So you should have went then, because actually the girl she wasn't 15 yet then. When he got married to her, right? She was 15, because they said that he thought that he had got her, impregnated her, and needed to get married or whatever. So right then, you should have went, so you're culpable.
Right.
And if they lift that, you were older. You were 16, 17.
Nobody cared. It's sad. Nobody cared, because it was R. Kelly, and everyone just turned with a blind eye. Nobody cares. So like now, everybody's in a documentary, getting there 15 minutes of fame. 15
minutes of fame.
I mean, and
still profiting, trying to profit,
and they're
trying
all
to make
just
it.
as guilty, because they knew that this man was doing this, and to help bring young girls to R. Kelly. You know what he was doing with these young girls. I mean, it's disgusting. And these people, they're sitting in this documentary as if they had nothing to do with it. Like they weren't in the wrong. Oh, R. Kelly is surviving R. Kelly. No, surviving the majority of you too, because you knew what was going on.
It was all one big cesspool of mess.
Right.
Of disgusting self-indulgence. Everybody was out for themselves.
Now so his wife Andrea, did they say that her brother, was he the security and it said childhood friend of R. Kelly?
Yeah, that's right.
So my thing is, you were security for R. Kelly, and you saw everything that was going on. Why would you introduce your sister into that mess? Or she would marry R. Kelly? I mean, it's disgusting what people would do for money. I mean, basically, I don't even want to say basically, it's like selling your soul. You selling your soul just because it's R. Kelly? You bringing young girls to R. Kelly? You selling your soul just because it's R. Kelly? You selling your soul, sleeping with this man because what you think he can do for your career or your daughter's career or nieces or... I mean, it's just crazy.
My mother often would tell a story. She's passed on now, but she would often tell a story. She would worked in the store. There used to be a Jewish delicatessen at the corner of her street, and she worked there. She worked there from when she was 10 all the way up to about 17 before she moved on. But she was around 15 then, and a dude came in. He had to be a pimp,
right? And
he told her, "Hey, you look like something." Basically, my mother looked like Lena Horne, or I would say Lena Horne looks like her, but Lena Horne was older than my mother, so she looked like Lena Horne. Okay, so he threw $200 up on the counter and say, "Come take this money and go with me." And my mother at 15, she was like, You better take that money before it blow off the counter, because I ain't taking nothing. You know, she wasn't cursing him. You ain't taking jack shit from you and take it out. And he had to take the money up off of the counter, and he had to depart. You see what I'm saying? That is called high self-esteem and not going. It's not worth that much to do what you do. Why people are so mentally ill and messed up now, because they were willing to just do anything to make it. And you find the people that have a lot of talent that didn't get out there, you know what I mean, is because they weren't willing to go and do what go that person's way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's not worth destroying yourself. So again, here they are now. They're prostrating, in my opinion, they're prostrating themselves on this documentary to try to gain 15 minutes of fame, try to write books, maybe try to get a civil suit or try to do something and do that. R. Kelly is wrong, but in my opinion, they were wrong.
My thing is, okay, so for all of you people who were working with R. Kelly and you saw all of this going on, you were in the documentary talking about it, why didn't you say something? Because then maybe if somebody had stood up and made so much noise, then it would have been it would not have been so many girls afterwards falling into the clutches of R. Kelly. But then again, it's like he had a reputation for doing this in Chicago. So then I'm surprised that the trail of women young girls who fell for this, because he had a reputation and they knew he was at the high schools, and then these parents were still letting their kids go off with him. I mean, it's just crazy. So yeah, these people were sick. Like, just, it's crazy. So nobody's like innocent. I mean, it's just crazy. And then these people want to sit around sending this documentary as if, you know, their hands are clean.
Yeah, they were the only victims.
No, you saw this going on. The guy, he said, when, you know, he feels bad now because Aaliyah was looking at him as if she wanted him to say something to help maybe stop the marriage. Or, I mean, you know, you sat there, you falsified documentation. I mean, I don't understand. The only two people I really believe in the story again is Andrea and Sparkle, but the most honest person in the whole film is R. Kelly's oldest brother, who was incarcerated at the time of making this documentary, wearing the 3XL county or federal or state grades, right? He says everybody has their preference. For R. Kelly, for my brother, it was young girls. For me, it's older women. So I feel
women. He said, but I'm just talking about the most honest person in the whole film.
He's in jail.
He's the most honest, but he's the most honest. He says, so why is it a big deal about my brother? His opinion on the whole thing is the most honest out of everyone that was sitting up there right now that I can see until we watch the next installments of
and I can't believe there's more installments. I mean it's sensationalizing this. Yeah. But I believe all of the women. I mean it's just so sick and crazy, you know. It's crazy. It's crazy that their parents allowed this. It's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
If your parent, the question of this is, if your parent gives consent, and your parent gave consent, he came to your house and took your grandparent gave consent, that's who your guardian was. Is it still abuse if your parent
allowed you? Like the man that was on TMZ. Yeah, that is crazy, Ricardo. Like the man that was on TMZ who said that he allowed his daughter to go off with R. Kelly. You remember, she was a minor. Mm-hmm. And he said because he thought that R. Kelly would help with his daughter's singing career. So now, mind you, he knew the reputation. He's in Chicago. Everybody, you know, this went beyond Chicago, actually, his reputation, right? But let alone, you're in Chicago and you let your minor go off with R. Kelly and you said, oh, it's because you know that he could help her career.
And so what were you thinking that she would be willing to do to get that career?
And then when what happened? When she became a little older, or maybe was she still young when she went to live with R. Kelly? You remember they gave her, they let her fly off to go stay with R. Kelly by herself, their young daughter. And then I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you would think this stuff was fiction. It's so crazy.
But this is my thing on this. It's like we're watching a sickness that's in the community, and it has a root cause, right? Now, during the drug era, black folks turned against their own and said they need to be locked up. People who are on drugs need to be locked up. People who are selling drugs need to be locked up, right? So the Rockefeller laws, 3 strikes you're out. 100,000 police more on the street during Clinton. All this was at the behest and the request of the older black generations, right? Now look at today, the opiate crisis,
Right.
this ravaging through the majority white community, and they have therapy,
Right.
and they shouldn't go to prison because, you know,
Right.
and then they use that excuse. We learned from the crack that, you know,
Right.
all of a sudden it's a different thing. When will we then begin to give compassion to those who are sick? Because R. Kelly is sick, and maybe this documentary, instead of pushing to try to get him locked up or stripped of what money he has
Hey,
left,
LJ.
stripping him of what money he has left, how about putting him and getting him some counseling? Because this may be the thing that hits him to rock bottom, because he's never had rock bottom before.
If the court case wasn't enough to make him hit rock bottom.
No, because he didn't lose it. You see what I'm saying? But this right here is
you mean
enough,
because it should be
it's
humiliating
enough evidence,
for him?
enough humiliation, and enough evidence where his situation will start to dwindle, right? To the point where he needs to then say, I need counseling. Because before they locked black people up doing drugs, but white folks, they get counseling.
Well, he's a what is it? A narcissist.
Mm-hmm. What's that mean, LJ? I don't get the wave. Is that a high, or is that what is that? What is that? Slap R. Kelly? I mean, what does
he
that
said
mean?
slap R. Kelly. No, R. Kelly is a narcissist, and I mean, because what did he say? He said that
narcissism is a sickness.
Yeah, but that's why he's not going to seek help, because he already said that he's a victim.
Oh, hi. Hey. Okay. I was wondering. I thought you were saying slap R. Kelly with the black fist. I was like, dang. Okay.
But no, R. Kelly is not going to seek help because he's a narcissist.
He's going to hit rock bottom off of this.
Well, he already, the statement he released, that, what did he say? He said that he did nothing wrong, and these women were willing. So, yeah, willing victims.
Wait. See, that's what I'm saying. But this is where it gets scary, because we've always, not scary, but kind of convoluted and complex and kind of interwoven into all kinds of sick shit. Now, let's be clear. The parents,
right?
The grandmother knew, because the grandmother had said, "You got the type of body that the men gonna like." Right? When he came there, she knew. She wasn't talking about she was a singer.
Right.
She went with the singer.
Right.
So she didn't have any aspirations of being a singer.
Right.
So when he came there, he told her, "I've been seeing your granddaughter for a while."
Right.
And he said, "Here, take her."
The grandmother.
Right. So that's one thing. So when the parent or the grandparent or the guardian says, "Going on with R. Kelly," is it abuse, or was it sanctioned or given permission by a guardian? That's one thing, right?
Both. I mean,
Two.
abuse.
Two.
Right.
Two. And this is just history now.
OJ
So we have
he says, were the women willing, or were the children women?
Were the women willing, or were the children women? Okay, that's a good question. Let's go through history real quick. When the West was being settled, and we have to just go through history here, because all of this sickness that R. Kelly has a root, right? It has a root. During the Wild West settling, when they would take the older women out there, they would die off on the way out there to the trail out here to the West Coast, right?
Right.
So from the east to the west. So they started bringing younger women, 9, 10, 11, 12, to marry old geezers. They would be old geezers because they were working out there in the thing, 35, 40, 25. They marrying 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, right? So this has a whole root to it. To me, just by the story, just by the young lady that had the book, you know, the young lady says, what's her name? Lisa Van Allen, she was 17. She said the 16-year-old looked like she was used to it, got up, knew the moves to make. It was like he was training her, even though he said he was trying something new. She got up, composed, went in there, stayed in the bathroom until after they left, and she went on her way, and then they had relations again.
Well, that describes what the young lady said in the book.
Right.
She said that he basically had I wouldn't say a harem, but he had young women who lived in a home, and she said they all seemed to be very familiar with R. Kelly's sexual patterns. And these were young girls, she said.
Young girls. And so, is this a case of people, one, maybe aging out, right? And or two, looking at their lives and saying they didn't get good education, like all the people in Mastering Mindsets, all of them are learning computers and stuff. Shout out, shameless plug. To they didn't get the education, so now their life is kind of bent. Or is it that they're just disgruntled because they didn't age out, but he just dismissed them and moved on, or they became disagreeable and outgrew the mindset, and now they find themselves, in my opinion, feeling like they have nothing. And is this what this is really about?
I think they feel used and abused by R. Kelly.
But how can they feel used and abused when they had ulterior motives? If you go with somebody...
Yeah, because the young lady that wrote the book, she just flat out told you she had ulterior motives. She said, I am not a victim. And she said multiple times in the book. And she said, matter of fact, I'm the one who went after R. Kelly. She said, I'm the one that looked into the concert dates and positioned myself to get with him. And so, I mean, it's just sad. Did you see
the teacher though? His music teacher. They happen to be replaying it right now, right?
Ricardo says the parents never pressed charges because they was paid off by R. Kelly. I know. I mean,
okay. So if they were paid off for R. Kelly, they really didn't care. They wanted that payday one way or the other, and that is what's so sad. But did you listen to the music teacher? They said you can tell by what kids are going through by what they put in the music, and she kind of like chuckled, and then the person said, what do you mean by that? Well, it was sexual, and I had to tell them that the sexual talk, matter of fact, that part is on, and she's getting ready to chuckle, and I'm like, she seemed like she was kind of, I don't want to do nothing, but anyway, we'll leave that alone. But I was like, and she kind of chuckled, like she's chuckling right now. We're looking right at it. But anyway, look, this is just disgusting. And my thing is, there's equal culpability on each side, because people get work permits at 15. They go into the workforce at 15. Not too much now, because most of the older people that were once them who went out and did things like this with people like R. Kelly, they really didn't get the education. So now the older people that's 30 and 40 and 50 taking up the summer jobs and the jobs that the young people should have. But usually you go get a work permit, you start working at 15. I know I did, right? So you start working at 15, and then you have to work amongst older people. You're understood to be able to do that. So then that means that your brain has to be developed enough now. But now the psychologists are saying, well, people's brains they don't know right from wrong, but you know right from wrong.
Yeah, but see,
when their heart is beating.
But the thing is, just keeping it real. The same guy, at McDonald's, let's say the 15, 16-year-old at McDonald's, right? Because I just know, as a female growing up, and you're around your friends and everybody and cousins, and they say, that old man tried to talk to me, laugh it off and keep it moving. They like, that old man, right? But see, in this case, for these young ladies, this old man just happened to be R. Kelly with a bunch of money, and who they believed and they stated they felt that he could do something for their careers. So, I mean...
So that means that they were thinking that I will exchange this for this. But what happened was the quid pro quo didn't happen, and he didn't put them in there. It's kind of like what Mike Tyson said, which was, you know, that's questionable too with old what's her name, Desiree,
right?
In Indianapolis or Indiana, one of the two. But during the Black Expo,
right? And
he said, had he just walked her down the steps to the car, this wouldn't happen. But he went into, he said in his own words, into dog mode, said, "Get out! I'm sleeping." Then she thought that they was gonna cuddle or something, or he would walk her down. And then as soon as she got back and they saw her walking in, then all of a sudden they say, put on that face and started crying and had to come up with an excuse not to break curfew, because she broke curfew. So, you know, when you look at it, that's the way it is, man. It's they were looking for something, but the quid pro quo didn't happen. Had he followed through and put them in there, background singers and all that, they wouldn't have.
But again, R. Kelly should not have got involved with these young girls.
I've already said from the top that is totally
we know that, right?
Wrong,
and then we
disgusting.
know that these young girls, like their parents and other relatives, and whether it's aunts and uncles, and like the young lady in the book, from the women in the documentary to the father that was on TMZ.
I am highly disappointed. Though I believe her story, I am highly disappointed
in Sparkle,
right?
And why would she even go on TV?
That was my niece.
So embarrassed.
If that was my niece,
right,
I would have been like, "Come on!"
Right.
And then, you know, either way, her career is basically ended. I would have been like, "Yo, come on." But I want to be here. No, you don't. You don't want to be here. Right. I shouldn't introduce you in the first place, because you were sitting up in the studio. I grab you, take you out, because I know what R. Kelly is doing. Right. She knows. Right. She knows. So, people, it's getting kind of like, but we had to come in and chime in on this one, because this right here, to me, all this has went on and all this. This is a hit job to get paper, right? Automatically,
class action with lawsuit.
Yeah, Lifetime has sold lots of advertisements, so they're gonna be straight with this. But R. Kelly's lawyer has put in an injunction, because he said that they knew a lot of them girls were lying. So we're gonna see how that pans out, because R. Kelly's lawyers have been beasts, you know, so far. So we're gonna see how that pans out. R. Kelly should get help. He needs help. I don't believe myself that he should see any jail time, because I think it's a mental illness and a sickness.
Well, you see what they did with Bill Cosby. They didn't even have any tangible evidence.
And that's another thing. Let me say this. We as a people are so quick to say our people should be handled. Like, we want to be the good Negroes or something, like, well, our people should be handled. But Weinstein,
right.
I mean, they getting ready to drop his stuff.
Right.
But Bill Cosby's in prison over something over people saying that this happened. No proof. As a matter of fact, when you look at this documentary, look at it again, because like I said, it's well shot. That's why we had to come in. Well edited, right? But a lot of the women, you don't see R. Kelly pictured with them. They show this is a brainwashing technique that they're using to tell this story. You're not seeing many of them together.
He says, when does the Harvey Weinstein documentary come out? Never.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's gonna go back and he's gonna be chilling. It's gonna go back. Right. And he's gonna go back to doing what he does, and that's it. But listen, if you watch this documentary, it's a brainwashing. They will show you the picture of the girl. She's smiling. Who took the picture? Could have been her relatives. They could have just got some pictures and edited them up, because R. Kelly was not pictured with a lot of the girls. But then they'll show you a big face, a big head of R. Kelly, and looking through his sunglasses, and they're dark in his eyes, or he's got that mush face, like sitting face that he has, which looks kind of strange. Or they show you his 48-hour shadow that's not quite he's not quite shady. They make him look like he's kind of like they did the O.J. Simpson picture. They darkened it and made him look kind of sinister. So show us the pictures of them together with him. That's why I'm kind of questioning it, because if you don't see photos with them together, then how do we know that this actually happened? But they're using this brainwashing techniques of showing you R. Kelly like he's dark and brightening and darkening them. We're seeing it in the low. Then they'll show you what's her name, Lisa Milano, right after on the commercial.
Oh, yeah,
so many people are
right.
abused. They show you R. Kelly. Then they pop in this commercial. It's all a brainwashing,
yes.
And so that's why I said the only two people I believe in the whole thing, because you see him pictured with them, is Sparkle's niece, and which she doesn't talk, but you know it actually happened, and his wife.
Right.
So when you're breaking down film, you have to be sure and look at what message they're trying to tell you and what type of brainwashing they're trying to put down on you. And so when you watch the documentary again, this is what we wanted to get to. We went through all these points, then I wanted to break down and let you know how they're using images to brainwash you to think. Next thing you know, you'll think that he was actually standing next to them, and they have no pictures that they've shown with him standing next to those people. But then they show his face. So that's what we wanted to say there. So watch the documentary again and see those obvious facts, and then see how they're trying to push this movement on you by then putting the commercial right after they show R. Kelly's face.
Right.
Every break.
Yeah.
Every single break. Well, they'll bring his face up real big. Right. And he's standing there looking off. I mean, come on, man. Right. Really?
What about Kevin Spacey?
Yeah,
That was a minor.
Oh no, but you know Kevin Spacey, they said he has to come to the arraignment. They might be grabbing him because they might want to make a example of him, because he was heinous. He was heinous. They might want to make make an example out of him, because they're not going to make an example out of Harvey Weinstein, who was the power broker. But they'll make an example out of They'll make an example out of the actor, so then they can make an example out of R. Kelly. You see how this stuff all adds up? So people, it is sad. Hold on. This is a message. You know, hold on to your daughters. Hold on to your sons. Do not let, like my mother said, you are not going out there to be out there. You gonna get up. I'm gonna get you up from under the feet of people. That's what my mother told me. We're gonna get you up from off of the feet of people, and then when you of age, then you can go on ahead and make those decisions. But I will have laced your boots by the time you walk out the house, and then you will be able to make those decisions. And then what you do after that, I won't let you go out there to the wolves. That's what my mom told me. So hold on to your sons, hold on to your daughters, hold on to your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren. Hold on to them. Don't let them get out there into those situations unless you can be there too, and you're the one that says, no, we don't need to go that far. We're going to just do it just like this, because it's about the music, right? It's about the talent, right? It's about the dancing, right? It's not about the in between the legs, right? So that's what we wanted to say. It's unfortunate. It's too many yes men on R. Kelly's side, too many irresponsible parents, people with the children, them too also being irresponsible, especially if you're 17. When you're 17, I remember 17. 17, nobody was telling me nothing.
I remember 15.
Shit, I mean, I remember 14, people wasn't telling me nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but anyway, people, lock it up. Make sure that your kids know that it's not that important that it's gonna happen. He had a picture with a 15-year-old he married that changed her age. Oh, no. That's Aaliyah. Aaliyah, we know that happened. But I'm talking about the other people that are sitting up there. She's dead, and they're dragging her name through the mud, Ricardo. They're dragging her name through the mud. You know what I mean? They're dragging her, basically. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why they're doing it. Talking about, I feel sorry, and the one lady started crying. I'm like, come on, you don't care that much because you could have took that to the grave with you. But you thinking that you can get something. My opinion. But yeah, Aaliyah, that story was known.
Yeah, and you know, that was just sad too. Like R. Kelly was really conniving, really conniving, because he swore to the guy up and down that he wasn't doing anything with Aaliyah. You know, he wasn't.
Come on.
You know, I mean, so it's just
dude knew. In my opinion, if I'm the manager, assistant, and I'm walking with you every day, and y'all kind of getting close, you know the body language of people who are together. Yeah.
He knew. But then that just goes to show that R. Kelly clearly knew what he was doing was wrong, because he wouldn't have tried to. If you're not doing something wrong, there's no need to hide anything. But he was constantly, not even just in the case with Aaliyah, but like with the young lady in the book. She said R. Kelly, when she did tell him her age, he told her not to tell anybody else.
He told her act like you 21.
Act like you 21.
When it was in a sexual act. That's why I couldn't hardly believe
Crazy.
her, because her stuff sounded like erotica or something.
It's just crazy.
But just because you know something is right or wrong doesn't mean that you don't have a mental illness. Have an urge.
I mean, clearly he has a mental illness, but I mean,
and so mental illness should be treated.
Pay the
because
piper.
If you go,
isn't he the Pied Piper?
Yeah, he the Pied Piper.
Well, now the Pied Piper has to pay the piper,
and he should go and have to pay the piper, and he should get counseling. That's what I say. If you don't do it, if you don't do it, this is my opinion. If you don't do it to Whitey, don't do it to Blackie. That's what I'm saying. If you do it to Blackie, do it to Whitey. Okay? So that's my thing. And so we're gonna close out now. It's been another robust episode of the film review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to mind. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy Dee.
Tracey.
And we review culture in movies, music, politics, and society. And we will see you next time on the film review.
Good night.